Mayor, whenever you're ready.
Perfect. Thank you very much. At this time, I will call to order the special meeting of June 28th, 2021. Councilmember Perez, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you, sir. Now I'll go to roll call.
Councilmember Perez,
Here.
Councilmember Burns,
Here.
Vice Mayor Resendez,
Here.
Mayor Velasquez,
Here.
City Manager Miller,
Here.
City Attorney Epperson,
Here.
and the record will show Chief of Police Reynoso is absent.
Thank you. Verification posting.
The agenda for the City of Hollister City Council special meeting of June 28th, 2021 was posted on the bulletin board on June 25th, 2021 at 2:21 p.m. per Government Code Section 54956. Sorry.
Thank you very much. City Attorney, is there anything you want to report?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I'd like to supplement the closed session report given following the closed session held on June 7th, 2021. And the supplemental report is that regarding item number 1, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9A, title of the case Williams versus City of Hollister et al., San Benito Superior Court, case number CU 2900203. The City Council unanimously agreed to settle this matter with each side dismissing the case with prejudice and all parties paying their own fees and costs. Direction was given to staff accordingly. That's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. We will now move to item A1.
Thank you, Mayor. So as part of the budget workshop on June 1st, it was suggested from the City Council to discuss creating a fire ad hoc committee. And this is what we brought for you this evening, is to ask that you select 2 members for a fire ad hoc committee.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to appoint Councilmember Burns and myself to that committee, if Mr. Burns is all right with that.
Yes, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Is there a consensus from the council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. It's fine.
Thank you. Thank you. City Manager, we have a consensus, and Mr. Burns and myself will be on that committee.
Thank you very much.
We'll now move to item A2.
For this item, I would first like to wish our HR manager happy anniversary, as this is why I'm doing this item, as she is enjoying her anniversary. But this is, so this resolution is to approve a memorandum of understanding between the City of Hollister and the confidential unit for the term of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023. And if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them.
Any questions from council?
Mayor Velasquez, Tim Burns.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Miller, in regards, I noticed that there's a 2.5% increase and a COLA. And as I read that, I was trying to understand. So the COLA is retroactive to April of 2021. Is that correct?
No, it will be a 2.5% increase on the first payroll after July 1st.
Okay.
First full one, and then there will be a COLA increase or the CPI increase in a year from July 1st.
Thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
I appreciate that. I guess my other question would be, I noticed that we put the Juneteenth
Correct.
holiday on there as well. And just for clarification, that's not a mandatory holiday that everybody's entitled to, correct? That's a choice the city and the council have the discretion of either saying yes or no to?
Correct. It's a federal holiday, but it needs to be ratified by the council. I will say we are negotiating with all the other bargaining groups, and I foresee that you'll see that again in the other bargaining groups also.
Thank you. I wasn't able to tell, were there any increases to either the employees or the city for medical expenses?
There is not an per se increased benefit. There will be an increased cost to how it has been in the past. PERS increases their healthcare costs, and there will be a 12% increase in healthcare costs to the city. But it's in that's what it's been in the past. Yearly increases have been from anywhere from 2% to 20% increases.
I'm sorry, did I hear you say between 2 and 20%?
Correct. Yeah. Going forward in a year, what we have agreed to now with this MOU is that we do have a fixed dollar amount in the second year of the contract.
Do we have any sense, or are we just moving forward not knowing what, I mean, I understand the difference between 2 and 20, but I mean, those are significant
Correct.
costs.
So anything above a 10% increase now, it will be, the employees will have to share in that cost.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that information. I believe those are the only questions I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions from council? Do we have any speaker items or speaker cards?
I have no speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Perez,
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Resendez,
Yes.
Mayor Velazquez.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. We'll now move to item A3.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, Renee Perales, CIP Manager, Administrative Services Department. Tonight before you is Resolution 2021-131, which will authorize staff to call for sealed bids for the 2020-2021 Road Rehab Project, CIP 2005. On June 15th, 2020, the City Council approved Resolution number 2020-121, which adopted the list of streets. The list of streets has been modified slightly to reduce the cost for mobilization for the project. The list of streets that we are proposing or that will be done for this project would be Chapel Road from McCarthy to Alvarado, McCarthy Street from Alvarado to Recht, Caston Court from Chapel to the end, Alvarado Street from Chapel to Recht, and Recht Street from McCarthy to Alvarado. In November 2020, a task order was issued to Kimley Horn to prepare plans and specs to construct the project. The plans are now complete for bidding purposes. Staff recommends that the City Council authorize the call for sealed bids. Once bids are received and opened, staff will bring back a contract and an appropriation for council approval. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Any questions from council?
Mayor, can I also add, when you look at a map of where these road projects are, they're all in roughly the same neighborhood. And then this is what we've discussed in the past, where we have all the construction in the same area, so that we hopefully will be saving in our mobilization costs in the future. That was
Thank you,
it.
sir. Councilmember Perez, did you have a question?
Yeah, actually, it's more of a comment. It's like this, the whole plan and everything seems to be, looks really good. I think it just continues with the work that's going on at McCarthy Park, McCarthy Street. Is they're not going to know how to act when it's all nice. But yeah, I think it's a great thing to happen, to continue the process of the park and everything. Good job.
Thank you. Any other questions? Do we have any speaker cards on this item?
I have no speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I move that we adopt resolution number 2021-131.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Perez,
Yes.
Councilmember Burns,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Resendez,
Yes.
Mayor Velazquez.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. We'll now move to item A4.
Good evening, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, City Council, Renee Perales again. This item, Resolution 2021-132, will approve a supplemental appropriation and a professional services agreement with Raftellus Financial Consulting to perform an update on our water and wastewater rates, connection fees, and wastewater capacity fee study. As mentioned in my report, the last study was for water was performed in 2012, and staff feels that it's the right time to conduct a fee study to bring the city's fees in line with the current costs. Raftellus has provided our last fee study, and due to their knowledge of our system, feel that they can provide us with a more cost-effective, it was a more cost-effective way to have the study done. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt Resolution 2021-132, approving a supplemental appropriation and the professional services agreement with Raftellus.
Thank you. Is there any questions from council? Thank you. I do have one question. My major concern has been the impact fee for the wastewater. I felt it's been pretty low. This will be addressing the impact fee for that, correct?
Yes.
Correct. Yeah, and that was one of the conversations with the consultants, is how to value the wastewater treatment plant along with our current bonds.
I think part of the issue I had is I believe the last one added in several of the county projects and different things, and pretty much put the burden back onto the regular ratepayers rather than to the new construction going on. So I just want to make sure we're addressing that this time around. Thank you. Councilmember Perez?
So there's going to be an increase in our water waste fees.
They're going to do a study first.
Let's study first. This is to see, to bring us back. Are we, compared to other areas, are we pretty low in that area as far as our rate?
Well, I can answer that.
Or we'll
My
find
guess,
out.
my guess is the water portion would go up. My guess is also that the wastewater portion will go down. So that, what we're trying to do is balance out what our rates are for correctly. And then also, we're, as part of the budget presentation, is we're also looking at replacing water lines. So we have to kind of put that into our calculation of what our rates need to be to able to pay for those bonds going forward. So it's all necessary to see what we can or can't do moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Do we have any speaker cards on this item?
I have no
Is
speaker.
there a motion?
I'll move that we adopt resolution number 2021-132.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Burns? Councilmember Perez, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Resendez,
Yes.
Mayor Velazquez.
Yes,
Motion passes 4-0.
we will now. Well, thank you. We'll now move to item A5.
Thank you, Mayor. So as part of the budget, we also have to do the appropriation limit, which also that sets the how much property tax or taxes that we're bringing in, and actually gives us a cap. So this item is giving that appropriation limit approval, and it also shows roughly what the calculations were. And one thing of note, that in all the appropriations limits I've done for the city, it was always that the city's change in population was higher than the county's. And this is the first time that the change in population in the county was higher than the city. And we had to change that. So that's just kind of an observation I'd like to bring to the council, to use that as you want. But I just ask that you approve the appropriation limit.
All right. Is there any questions from council? Do we have any speaker cards?
I have no speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
And move that we adopt resolution number 2021-133.
Is there a second?
Second.
Was a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Perez,
Yes.
Councilmember Burns,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Resendez,
Yes.
Mayor Velazquez.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. We'll now move to item A6.
Okay, last item. So we're bringing up the budget presentation. I'm going to probably skip a lot of these slides because we've already went through them during our workshop. I'll just kind of give some reminders. Oops. Paul reminded me to make sure I turned it on, the clicker on, and I completely forgot. So, oops. So we'll go. Oops. So just a reminder that we continue to have a strong reserve. When we close out our books, like I say, hopefully around September, early October, we'll probably come back with some recommendations to increase our reserves. As we all kind of saw through COVID, reserves are very important, and we'll bring that back forward. Like I said, the goals or what we looked at was public safety, economic development, public facilities, and roads as an example of one of the items we brought forward tonight. So what I always like to everybody see is the revenues. I always like to say the city of Hollister is we're very revenue poor, which makes it very difficult to bring additional services or as one of negotiating with employees is the, like I said, we just don't have some of the revenues. If you look at like for Watsonville, they have a utility tax that they bring in about 2.4 million additional dollars that would be, that we would love to have. All right. So, sorry. So that shows our trend. The reason for the budget being so low for 2021 is that that was supposed to be COVID, was supposed to be that. We thought for sure we were going to be crashing like everybody else, but we said we actually came in a lot better than we expected. And we do tend to have expected revenue growth also this year. Sorry. And that just shows the different categories. So now when I showed you this bar graph before, we didn't have any one-time monies, but with this one, I'm sorry, I'm trying to bring it up so I can see it. That you see about $1.7 million worth of one-time expenditures. Sorry, just so I can see. And that, I said at the workshop that we are very much a service provider organization where almost over 70% of our services are in personnel. And that just shows the different departments. And all this is in your handouts or your budget binders that we gave you. This shows you the allocation. Our police and fire about 61%, which is very healthy for our city for our size. So once again, we'll end with the budget we have a balanced budget, and we're predicted to end the year with about 4.4 million, which would be about 15% reserve, which is an adequate reserve. So we went through with the one-time monies. The big thing in the change here will actually be on page 2. We replaced the police rifle silencers, I believe, with the fire rate study, which is the 6th item down that was requested. And another thing I added on that I've noticed in the last couple of budget meetings and kind of looked at through the revenues and feel like we can balance this out is the very last item. Is a lot of times throughout the year we keep getting asked, can we do a traffic study? Can we do speed humps? Instead of going to the council every time to do these, what I'm almost recommending is that we give each council member and including the mayor $50,000 a year to do these traffic studies at your choice. So it's just a suggestion or recommendation that we can do just to make it a little bit more efficient. And then here's how we're going to pay for all those one-time costs like we did at the last time. And then I always like to have this schedule in. Like I said, we have a balanced budget, but if you really want to start adding in the approximately $3 million that we need to spend on our roads, we would be actually upside down. And we'll, as the years come, we're going to start trying to work on that. And then last couple of pages have a somewhat solution to help with making that gap. And that includes alleys also. I see you looking over there.
Everyone's reading my mind tonight.
Okay, so let's see. So those are like the different ending fund balances. So on this page, I really want to thank Councilmember Burns. We had a very good talk about code enforcement and the different things, the pitfalls and things to think about, and actually some other things that that we need to adjust in that department. But going forward with the recommendation that we do with the community service level 2, and the main reason is I really like the idea of having somebody at the Briggs building. We keep having issues over there with homeless and some other issues with the parking garage. And this would just give them a presence over there that I think would be very needed. And so that's what I'm recommending. I made the change from airport director to airport manager. So those are really the main differences from when we saw this at the workshop. That just shows the staffing change. So like I said, beyond the budget. So that, so like I said, we're going to work on trying to obtain some financing, say we believe $40 million in water line replacements. That could help with helping us maximize the what we feel about $20 million in street and alley repairs. Like I said, we're going to look at pension bond obligations. And then we've already started the process tonight with the ad hoc committee to reevaluate the operations, the fire contract, and cost share. And then we're going to start on the budget initiatives because it's never too early to start on these items, is to relook at the business license, the TOT tax, and then, like I say, our tax sharing agreement with the county. So one of the questions was the American Rescue Plan Act. I got to tell you, nothing changes. If you rush something out of government, there's always changes. So this, I feel that's got really rushed through, and there are ideas that can continue to change. So this kind of really shows the allocation of the monies between all the different states and cities. And I reported at one time we got 7.7, and I feel like it was one of the greatest investments. And within a couple of weeks, we got 9.7. So I think part of it is that they probably relooked at our population, and it was higher than when they initially estimated, and that's why we got more funds. So what can we spend this money on? So you can use it on funds to respond to COVID-19 public health emergency or support various activities to decrease the spread of virus. So we'll be looking at different items that we can use throughout the city to protect our workers and the public. You can address economic impacts caused by the public health emergency. So we'll look at how we can maybe help revitalize some of the businesses downtown. And I will say there's quite a bit of different ideas that are coming out. And then number 3, replace lost public service revenue due to the pandemic. So we'll be running those calculations and see what we can do to really reimburse our general fund for lost revenue. 4, provide a premium pay for eligible workers or grants to eligible employers of essential workers. This is one of the areas that I've heard numerous different things that different governments are doing. I will say, I don't mind being part of the leading cutting edge, but when it comes to federal money and their ability to take your money back, I would really like to make sure some proven facts before we go cutting edge with this. But Some agencies are actually giving kind of one-time monies to their employees as a kind of a appreciation of working through all the heartaches of the COVID-19. So we'll look at that one also. And then number 5, invest in water, sewer, or wastewater and broadband infrastructure. So our funds must be obligated by December 31st, 2024. And then we have to spend all the money out the door by December 31st, 2026. So like I say, as this keeps changing, there's always different ideas and stuff to look at. What I would ask is that we adopt the budget as is, but for when it comes to the American Rescue Plan, that we'll have a maybe late August, a special meeting to really go through the different ideas and then get council's buy-off of what they think is the best use of those funds. Because like I said, there are different things floating, and I would like to entertain all those ideas. And with that, any questions on this budget?
Thank you, sir. Any questions from council members?
I've got a
I
question,
can't.
Mr.
see your hand, but Go ahead. Go ahead.
Madam
Who's that?
Chair, but you said 50K per council member and you totaled 150K.
Right.
So that's 3 of us.
Oh, whoops.
Or does the vice mayor, maybe, and the mayor not count?
This is what happens.
I think
when
we're
you come up-
excluding the new council members is what the discussion was.
I believe it's the vice mayor that's taken out of the equation.
Maybe what I meant to put is probably 30,000, but yeah.
I like 50, Doug.
Yeah, but we can adjust it if you want to make it 250.
I think it'd be like 20. Well, if we include the new person, it'd be like 25.
It'd be
250K.
250,000.
And then my other question is, do you, Mr. Prado, think that's sufficient for, with your background as far as traffic studies and stuff? Do you think that's a good number or? Okay, fair enough. 50K a council member.
Yeah, I can add another 100,000 to the budget.
Okay, well, that's a good number to start. Like he said, I support that. Thank you. So we put 250K.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Mayor Velasquez, Tim Burns, I have a number of questions.
Go ahead, Mr. Burns.
Thank you. So I'm going to maybe go backwards as opposed to start at the beginning. With regard to the American Rescue Plan money, I'm wondering if it wouldn't behoove the council to maybe create an ad hoc committee to be involved in that before it comes to the council, because clearly the council has the pulse of the community. And with regard to what is currently the permitted uses, one of those areas is sewer. I just read that, and I believe I read in the report.
Right.
So if we were to, and this is maybe more of a what if question, we have a lot of old underground pipe, and it frequently breaks, and we go and we fix it, and then down the road it breaks and we fix it, and we've done that for a number of years, and that's consistent with a lot of cities that are old.
Correct.
Is that money something that if we wanted to, as a council, commit to just do all the pipes that we could buy with the approximately $10 million? Is
Yeah,
that
we
a
could.
commitment we could?
Yeah, and most of those lines that are breaking are the water lines.
Right. So that would absolutely be something that I would be really interested in, and maybe even getting an idea of what it would cost to just, I know it's going to tear up the city for a while, but I have to presume most of the pipes that are breaking are probably 70 to 100 years old.
Correct. Yeah, and that's was the beyond the 40 million that we were talking about for water bonds.
Right.
That's approximately what it would cost us. There was a study about a year and a half ago.
Right. So I just want to put it out there. That's kind of where my focus and priority is with this money. It's not a windfall by any means, but it's certainly enough to get us to where we would like to be. And you know, I'm not convinced we'll see this kind of money come our way in the future.
Correct.
And so want to talk for a minute about during our last budget conversation, I brought up the request to include 2 fire prevention officers, and I still would like to see that happen. I'm convinced that the fire department has a use, a need, a value, and I'm comfortable with an idea that, particularly with the fire fee study, that we could get to a budget neutral position on those two positions, not to make money, but fee for service skills. And I'd really like to see a commitment on behalf of this council. I know this council clearly supports public safety. We all recognize, and I'm convinced of this, that it doesn't matter how nice our community is, if it's not safe, whether it be from a fire science or service or from a police service, everything else is just kind of secondary up until that point, I believe. And so I would like to see us move forward to commit to those fire prevention officers this evening, if possible. I want to also confirm on this fire fee study that we're also going to piggyback, I think was the word I used before, the code enforcement fee study as part of that as well. So I just don't want that to get lost in the communication. I've also noticed, and maybe I'm a little bit compulsive about this recently because of my friends and residents in Sunny Slope Village, that it doesn't seem like we do a exceptional job, and I expect exceptional, and I think we may have to pay for exceptional job of maintaining all of the perimeter walls around the neighborhoods. And in some neighborhoods, they're pretty much surrounded, as Sunny Slope Village is. And in some cases, there are other neighborhoods that there's maybe a 300-foot line of it. Down by where I live, that's exactly the case. And I don't know that we manage and do maintenance by the squeaky wheel theory, but I would like to know if there aren't already dedicated employees to do that work. I'd like to see this council commit to maybe hiring a couple of maintenance folks. And I don't know what to call them. I don't know what their job classifications are.
Maintenance is correct.
But somebody that would be dedicated to do that work year round as their primary function throughout our community. And then if there is additional time or if there's an emergency or a crisis, pull them for that. But, you know, I've seen a lot of good work that's been done in the last couple of weeks up at Sunny Slope Village. There's still work to be done. And I recognize it takes time. And so I would like to see us refocus on maintaining what we have. I think it's difficult for us to sit up here and judge others when they're underdoing, when in some cases, I think we as a city have not performed as exceptionally as I'd like to. And so I'd like to see this budget commit to a couple of those maintenance workers for that purpose. And then the other question I have is with regard to the fire department. I'm concerned about how we view the overtime budget. And I've had conversations, and those conversations would suggest that overtime is consistently under budgeted for. We know at the end of the day, the overtime is going to get paid. So if we need to continue to under budget, then I would hope that we would have a less focus on the fact that they're going over, because if we're going to set the fire department up to fail based on budget, then we need to accept that as a council. And I'm one that I'd rather pay more, frankly, and hire a couple more firefighters with an expectation that we could lower some of that overtime. And I know that hiring more employees sometimes doesn't lower the cost because you factor in the benefits. And at that point, it just becomes more costly. But there's also other factors associated with excessive overtime that can be worked, whether it be family relationships, fatigue, mistakes that could be made. From a risk perspective alone, I think that we might want to look more closely at that. But know that I am concerned about the constant fire departments going over the budget. But the reality is I understand it. It's not that they're going over. It's if you've got 40 employees and if you're only budgeting for 18 people for working overtime, then I say maybe it's a systemic issue. And I don't expect that to get fixed with this budget, but I don't want that to be forgotten about. And then my final comment would be, I'm not pleased with what I heard at our last council meeting. Vice Mayor Resendez, thank you for quizzing the Economic Development Corporation and the work that they've done. And I would recommend that we remove that $100,000, I think it was, from the donation. And I don't know what the contract is, so I don't know if that's feasible.
Okay.
But I would like to find a way out of that. I think we could find other alternatives that would be more valuable to the city of Hollister and the community that we are here to serve. And so, Mayor, that concludes my comments, thoughts, and questions. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I will try to, Mayor, I'm going to try to address a bunch of those if I can remember. That was a good list. So with fire, I'm kind of looking over at Rick's position because I do recall Councilmember Quower sitting and going, okay, I don't know what to do about the fire budget. Do we, it seems like we're always guessing wrong and we increase it and we don't have any, they say more people, we give them more people, then and the fire overtime goes up. Whether that's right or wrong, I think that was the main issue for the ad hoc committee with the fire, that, and then the prevention bureau, is to really discuss those issues and see what is the correct solution for that department going forward. So that's why you didn't see those positions. I thought that was the direction, is to really let the ad hoc committee come up with some solutions, and we'll go forward with that. The EDC, we do have a contract. I believe, I forget, usually a lot of our contracts with that are like 270 days. So we'll still need some budget to pay for that, to get out of it, but we can start that process. Or I believe there were some other contracts that council wanted to look at, and maybe we'll set up a special meeting in August to go over those contracts, so that we can just, here are the parameters, and we can go forward from that. With the sound walls, and so, we do have budget in there for temporary employees. We use those for sound walls. I'm trying to work with Public Works right now to maybe come up with a better system so that we can be proactive. I do not like being reactive to projects. It's just, it seems like we spend more time jumping around from item to item, so that we're really working on being a little bit more proactive. But yeah, that is a big thing, because it seems like the weeds around here grow really fast, and we should have a better plan to address them, because they usually come up at the right time. Trying to remember anything else on that one. So sorry if I missed one.
There was code enforcement fee study.
Oh, we have fee study. Sorry. Yes. Well, either in my budget or in planning's budget, we should have if there's a difference between what we budgeted for the fire study, to do them together, we should get a good economy of scale to get it, be able to handle it in our current budget. But yeah, all our fees should be looked at a regular basis. That was one of the main reasons we brought back the engineering and planning fees, and building, is just, you can't let them go that stale. We're going behind. We're subsidizing a lot of people's projects, and that's not what we're here for.
I agree. So I guess the final question I have is in regards, I like the proposal, whether it be $25,000 or $50,000 for each council member for fee studies, or for traffic studies, I mean. And so I'm wondering if there's a capacity within the budget to allocate to each council member X amount of dollars for other things, whether it be to contribute to the SNP bus, or whether it be to contribute to other special needs and nonprofits that may be impacted, that we're passionate about.
Okay, I think that's a wonderful idea, but usually we bring what I would suggest is, when we do come in with a mid-year budget, or when we close out our previous year, I'm hoping there's some cushion that we actually brought in more revenues than our expenditures, and then that's usually additional one-time monies that we use for other projects. So that would be a good use of those funds.
And so in regards to this conversation about that, my understanding is each council member is allocated like $2,500
$2,500 for travel,
self-improvement and training.
Yeah.
And I know that in past conversations, it's been suggested that maybe there could be some flexibility in how that money is used, because it's money that already exists. I will tell you right now, I'm not going to spend $2,500 of the taxpayers' money to educate myself. I will not be going to conferences and things like that. And so, but I also am smart enough to know, having been in charge of multi-million-dollar budgets personally, that if I don't use it, it just rolls back into the general fund.
Correct.
So I would like the flexibility to use that on other things, or expand the parameters for what that money could be used, and that the money already exists.
Right.
So
What I would say is that council sets policy, and if that's the policy you want to use those funds for, like you said, it's been budgeted.
thank you. Thank you, Mayor. That concludes my comment.
Sure. All right. Is there any other comments from council members?
Yeah, I got a couple.
Go ahead, Councilor Perez.
When Councilman Burns brought up about the sound walls, I was wondering, because I think wasn't you, Mayor, that was talking about the idea of maybe getting some landscapers to, so maybe we can go through that stuff too. But what's,
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that is part of the conversation that I'm having with Public Works right now.
with that, I'd like to also between the parklets also be maybe thrown in there too. And because I know there's a lot of sucklings that the city's already been trying to get at. But also I noticed the trees downtown, they're already leaning against the parklets.
Okay,
And
we'll have
so
staff
it's-
look at that.
Yeah, we'll have staff look at that, but I don't know if that would be part of that landscaping / weed abatement
No,
program.
that's just part of the maintenance staff's work.
The other thing I wanted to ask, on that last traffic study that I requested, do you remember how much that was approximately?
Uh,
The
Yeah.
reason I'm asking is so like when we're talking about 25, 30, 50,000 for traffic studies, how many do I get to do?
I think they average about $10,000 each,
Yeah,
don't they?
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, because I thought I remember something like 11,000. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
depends on how many intersections that you're doing and the size of the area.
Okay. That was pretty much it.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Resendez, do you have any questions, comments?
Not really. I don't think everything that you spoke about tonight, we're not voting on that. You were just asking for like a verbal commitment. Is that correct?
Right.
Thank you. Yeah, and then I agree. I just think that, I've got some thoughts and some suggestions, but I think that we can talk about it at an appropriate time, and I support what you suggested. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I do have a couple of comments. I agree 100% with Councilmember Burns on the EDC comments. And I think we have to really look at a few other contracts that we have with the county right now that we're really not getting a good return on. And I do agree as far as the property tax sharing agreement. This conversation has been going on for a long time. We are not receiving our fair share, and it really does affect our overall budget. So I think if we cannot get an agreement with the county, we do have to work towards a ballot initiative to make sure the residents understand why sometimes it's hard for us to afford to do different projects. And as you mentioned, it's clear now that the county is growing faster than the city, which really should never be happening. And it puts a strain on to the city, and that's just not the right direction. The comment about the sound walls, it's been one of those things I've talked about for years since the very beginning. It has gotten much better, but I think the answer is really going to be to start working with local landscapers. It gives them the ability to grow their businesses and really ends up providing a first-rate job, because that is the kind of business they're in. And I think it will really benefit our staff, because it'll let our staff members focus on other projects, repair projects, such as the roads or anything else that we need fixed within the city. I think right now it's hard for them to try to take care of the sound walls and then run off to do another project they need to fix, and back and forth. So I think we can have consistency. We'll finally get to the point of being very proud of the way our sound walls look. I think the contract or some of the discussion on the fire, I agree with you, City Manager. I think we should get together with the ad hoc first, have a good in-depth conversation, understand the reports that were done before, so we can find a good pathway to make this thing work for us in a very positive way. So overall, I'm very pleased with the work you did with the budget this year. I do want to get to the point of making sure that the conversation of maintaining our roads, it's something that, again, has been talked about for years, but without a commitment to the funding to get to that $3.5 million a year, we will never be able to maintain our roads properly. And I want to make sure we can put together a plan that over the next 5 years, we can get to that point. Because again, if we don't dedicate those dollars, we will never get to that point of making our roads the quality level that the residents deserve. So with that, again, I want to say thank you, City Manager. You did a great job on this budget, and let's do some more positive things. I know we're going to get there. Is there any comments from the public?
I have no speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. With that, is there a motion from the council?
I move that we adopt resolution number 2021-134, a resolution of the City of Council of the City of Hollister adopting the annual budget for the City of Hollister for the period of July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Perez,
Yes.
Councilmember Burns,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Resendez,
Yes.
Mayor Velazquez.
Yes,
Motion passes 4-0.
thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn tonight?
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We're closing out LGBTQ plus Pride Month, and today's the actual day that the Stonewall Uprising occurred in 1969 in Greenwich Village. And I'd like, if it's okay with the council, for us to close just commemorating that event.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
I move that we adjourn commemorating the event of the Stonewall Uprising on June 28th, 1969.
Thank you. The motion is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Perez,
Yes.
Councilmember Burns,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Resendez,
Yes.
Mayor Velazquez.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you all. Good night and great job, staff, for putting together a nice budget that we can work with for our city.